My family faked my mom's illness, stole my inheritance, and racked up $24,000 in debt in my name. So I took my brutal revenge. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Hey guys, I've been sitting on this for a while, but I think it's time to put it out there. Partly for my own sanity, and partly because I know I'm not the only one who's been played by their own family. I, 33 male, work as a systems consultant for a logistics firm. My job has me traveling at least 70% of the year, so I'm not home much. I live out of airports, hotels, and rental cars more than I do my own apartment in Denver. It's chaotic, but I like it. It keeps me sharp. The downside is I don't see my family that often, but that's never been much of a loss for me. I'm the oldest. My younger sister Amelia is 28, and according to my parents, the reincarnation of Picasso, even though she mostly draws plants with googly eyes and sad girls with crystals on their foreheads. She's been calling herself a professional artist since she sold a $40 sketch at a flea market. I kid you not, my mom once cried, because Amelia drew a tulip and said it represented the burden of womanhood. Meanwhile, when I got promoted last year and got flown out to speak at a logistics conference in Germany, they forgot to call me. So yeah, that kind of family. About 3 months ago, I'm on a layover in Atlanta when I get a call from my dad. He never calls unless someone's dead or needs money, so I answered expecting the worst. His voice was low, kind of shaky. He said, "Hey, we didn't want to worry you, but your mom's been going through some stuff. It's probably nothing, but she's been having these episodes. Fatigue, dizziness, numbness in her legs. We're doing tests. They think it might be neurological or autoimmune. We don't know yet." I froze. "Why didn't you call me sooner?" He sighed. "She didn't want to be a burden." I asked if they had a diagnosis. He said no, but the doctors were concerned. She was getting more tests done soon. I asked if they needed anything, and of course he dodged. "We're okay for now. It's just been stressful." Next morning, I wired them $2,500. Told them to use it for whatever medical bills were coming. He just texted, "Got it. We'll keep you posted." Over the next few weeks, I got a steady drip feed of vague updates. Mom had a rough night. She's not eating much. She had another episode. Nothing concrete. No doctor names, no hospital visits, just vague emotional debris. Then Amelia started posting these cringe Instagram stories with her mom, sad piano music playing, captions like "the strongest woman I know" and "cherish every second." I called her. "What's actually going on?" She launched into this dramatic monologue about how I wouldn't understand, that I'm never around, that I haven't seen mom limp around the house or sleep for 16 hours straight. When I asked what the doctors said, she paused and said, "They don't know. They're still testing." For 2 months? I let it go. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe I was projecting. I wired another $3,000 after my dad mentioned they might need to travel out of state for a specialist. Said it wasn't covered by insurance. I figured, screw it. If she's dying, I'll regret being stingy. The week after I sent that money, I was in Seattle finishing up a client presentation when I get a message from a neighbor back home. Sarah, sweet lady, used to babysit Amelia and me when we were kids. Her message read, "Hey Isaac, just checking in. I saw your mom out walking the dog Tuesday morning and she looked great. Hope the worst is behind her." Hold up, Tuesday? That same Tuesday, my dad texted that mom couldn't get out of bed again. I didn't respond right away. I tried brushing it off. Maybe it was a good day. Maybe she forced herself to move. Maybe I was overthinking it. But then Nick, my coworker, noticed something when we were having drinks at the hotel bar. I mentioned the whole situation and showed him the last Venmo receipt I got from my dad. He squinted. "Why is it being sent to a personal username? If it's a hospital or clinic, it should be through billing. That just looks like a casual transfer." Nick used to work in medical billing before switching to tech. He offered to take a quick look at the invoices I had saved. He spotted at least 3 red flags in 5 minutes. Inconsistent formatting. One listed a non-existent clinic. Another listed a consult fee of $950 for someone who doesn't even show up in state medical registries. I asked him straight up, "Is it possible they're faking it?" He gave me a look. I've seen dumber scams, especially inside families. That night, I scrolled through Amelia's feed. Just 2 days earlier, she posted a photo of her and 2 girlfriends at a rooftop wine bar. Designer dress. New hair. Caption. Manifest it. Claim it. Deserve it. That's when I felt it in my gut. That thing you don't want to believe. That your own family might be lying to you. Playing you. Using you. I didn't confront them. Not yet. I needed more. If I was going to accuse them of fraud of faking a medical crisis just to bleed me dry, I wasn't going in with screenshots and suspicions. I wanted facts. So I booked a flight home, and I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I showed up on a Thursday afternoon. Didn't call, didn't text, just drove straight from the airport in a rental and pulled into the same driveway I used to mow every Saturday for $10 and a "we're proud of you" that never came. My dad was in the front yard raking leaves. His face when he saw me? Pure panic disguised as fake cheer. Isaac? What the hell? What a surprise. I played it cool. Yeah, figured I'd check in since mom's, you know, dying and all. He fumbled the rake and started mumbling about how she had just gone to lie down. It was a rough morning. Right. Just like all the other rough mornings she's apparently had right before brunch dates and mani-pedis. I walked inside and there she was. Not in bed, not hooked up to anything. Sitting on the couch in full makeup, scrolling through her phone like she was recovering from a spa treatment, not battling mystery illnesses. Her eyes went wide. Isaac, why didn't you tell us you were coming? I looked her dead in the face. Wanted to see for myself how you're holding up. She blinked fast. Today's a good day. That's what she said. Just like that. Like she hadn't spent the last 2 months allegedly battling some undiagnosable, debilitating illness that no doctor could explain, but still somehow required thousands of dollars in testing. I nodded, sat down, looked around. The house didn't look like a place where two people were struggling. New coffee table, new TV, and a brand new espresso machine sitting proudly in the kitchen, which Amelia had posted in a story a week ago like it was hers. Where's Amelia? I asked. My mom waved her hand. Oh, she's at her studio space. You know how busy she is? Yeah. Busy. Busy drawing sad plants and telling people it's activism. We made small talk for 20 minutes, forced smiles, fake concern, the usual. Then I excused myself to the bathroom but made a detour to the old home office. Still unlocked. I opened the top drawer and found a pile of unopened mail. Most of it junk. But a thick envelope caught my eye. County Tax Assessor's Office. I pulled it out. It was for the lake house. The one my grandmother left to me. The one I hadn't heard them mention once in the last 2 years. I opened it. It was a reassessment notice, addressed to someone I didn't recognize. I checked the name, then checked the owner's name on the tax record printed at the bottom. It wasn't me. The house had been sold. My heart was thumping now, not because I was shocked they'd done worse. It was the fact that no one told me. Not a word. Not a heads up. No text. No fake apology. Just sold. My grandmother's will had a restriction clause. The house couldn't be sold for 5 years unless I signed off in writing and filed a petition with the estate. That clause wasn't optional. They bypassed it entirely. I took a photo of the document and slipped it back. At dinner, I brought it up casually. Hey, what's going on with the lake house? They both froze. My mom tried to recover. Oh, that place? It was too much to maintain. We had to make a tough decision. When? I asked. My dad looked down at his plate. About 8 months ago. 8 months. That meant they'd sold the lake house half a year before I even got that first fake update about mom's condition. They'd been sitting on this lie for nearly a year. Who made that decision? I said, staring straight at him. Because that house was in my name. Zurinya. He didn't answer right away. Just started picking at his food like it was about to reveal the answer. That was a misunderstanding, he finally said. You weren't around, and we figured it was best for the family. I leaned back. So you forged my signature? Zurinya? My mom gasped. How can you say that to your father? Because unless I developed amnesia during a flight, I never signed over that deed, and I sure as hell didn't authorize a sale. That's when Amelia walked in. She looked surprised to see me. Oh, you're here. I got up and went straight to her. You knew they sold the house? She smiled. We all agreed it made sense. I'm launching my brand. They needed help. What were we supposed to do, Isaac? Let it sit there so you can vacation once a year? That's when I saw red. You're telling me you used my inheritance, my grandmother's house, to fund your sketchpad hobby? Her face twitched. It's not a hobby. I'm building something meaningful. I turned to my parents. How much did you make from the sale? They exchanged glances. How much of it is left? No answer. That was all I needed. I didn't blow up. I didn't scream. I didn't flip the table. I just grabbed my jacket and said, You're going to hear from my lawyer. My dad tried to stand. Don't do this. We're family. I stopped in the doorway. Number, you're parasites. And I'm done feeding you. I left, got in the car, drove straight to the airport and booked the next flight home. On the plane, I opened my email and started writing everything down while it was fresh. The lake house. The Venmo receipts, the fake invoices, the forged signature, the Instagram posts. Because this wasn't just theft, it was fraud, and I was going to make sure every single one of them paid for it. I landed back in Denver around 2:30 a.m., dead tired and wired at the same time. I'd spent the whole flight flipping between rage and cold focus. When I walked into my apartment, I didn't even take off my shoes. I opened my laptop, dumped every screenshot, photo, and note I had into a folder labeled Family Theft, and just sat there, staring at it. They sold the lake house, my house, without a word. Used the money to bankroll Amelia's fantasy life, all while faking an illness to shake me down for sympathy payments. But that wasn't enough. They didn't just rob me. They buried me in the wreckage they created. I found out 2 days later, in the most ridiculous way possible. I'd gone to update my travel rewards card and saw my credit score had dropped nearly 70 points. That didn't make sense. I pay everything off. I don't carry balances. I haven't missed a payment since I was 21. So I logged into my credit report. That's when I saw it. 2 new cards I didn't recognize. Opened about 5 months ago. Both in my name. One had a $9,000 balance. The other was maxed at $15,000. I stared at the screen like it was a joke. Then I looked closer. One of the cards had charges from a place called Artium Collective, an artist co-op workspace in our hometown. That's where Amelia posted her ribbon-cutting video. She had a whole launch party, speeches, streamers, her standing in front of a poster that said, Amelia Gray Studios, where emotion meets vision. The timestamp on her video matched the charge to the minute. She basically documented her own crime. You want to guess who paid for that vision? Apparently, me. I filed an identity theft claim that night, locked all my credit, froze the cards. Then I called the police department in my hometown and filed a fraud report. The guy on the phone sounded almost amused when I explained it. Your family took out credit cards in your name and used them to fund an art studio? Yep. Did they also use your social security number? They must have. My dad had all my old paperwork from when I lived at home. The officer paused. Yeah, that'll do it. Next, I called my friend Nick, the former billing guy with a good nose for shady accounting, and told him everything. He didn't say I told you so, but I could hear the smirk in his voice. Isaac, this isn't just a case of your family being dysfunctional. This is a full-on felony situation. Good. I want to press it. Go nuclear. And that's exactly what I did. I hired a real estate attorney first, sent her the forged deed, my grandmother's original will, and a copy of the county tax reassessment with the new owner's name. Turns out, the lake house had a non-transferable clause built into the will. The property wasn't legally allowed to be sold for 5 years without my signature and a formal petition to the estate. They ignored both, faked my signature, lied to the buyer, some poor newlywed couple, and closed the sale under false pretenses. My lawyer nodded as she flipped through the paperwork. Oh yeah, we can absolutely sue the estate representatives. Fraud, breach of trust, and forged documents. And if they used your identity on loans, that's federal. I asked how much trouble they were in. She smiled. Let's find out. While she worked the civil angle, I handled the credit damage. I had to jump through hell to prove the applications weren't mine. Send affidavits, notarize statements, police reports. But once it was flagged as identity theft, the banks flipped. They started investigating. That's when the cracks really started showing. The bank that issued the $15,000 card emailed me a copy of the application form. It had my name, my SSN, and my old email address from high school, an account my dad still had access to. The report even listed my childhood home as the mailing address and IP logs from their Wi-Fi network. One of the banks attached a note, account flagged for fraudulent access pattern consistent with known identity theft. The signature, definitely not mine, just a sloppy version that vaguely looked like it was copied from an old lease. Meanwhile, I kept tabs on Amelia's studio. Turns out Artium Collective was already filing an eviction against her for unpaid dues. She hadn't paid rent in 2 months. So the $24,000 they charged on my name mostly went to furniture, mural painting, and her ridiculous brand package from a wannabe marketing guru who charged $7,000 to design a logo that looked like a Pinterest tattoo. I was angry, yeah, but more than that, I was numb. Numb at how casual it all was. Like I was just an extra slot in their personal ATM. When I texted Amelia and asked if she had anything to say, she replied, "You've always had more than us. We just needed a little help catching up. It's not like you were using that house anyway." That was the moment I decided to burn it all down. No more conversations, no more warnings, no more guilt. They wanted to pretend my life was their backup fund? Fine. Let them see what happens when the ATM fights back. The weirdest thing about betrayal is how boring the paperwork is. You expect fireworks, screaming, storming into rooms and flipping tables. But most of revenge is just signing forms, sending emails, and double-checking dates. And that's exactly what I spent the next few weeks doing. Quiet and focused. My lawyer, Erica, a probate and fraud specialist who looked like she chewed through lawsuits for breakfast, hit the ground running. We filed a civil suit to reverse the illegal sale of the lake house and named both of my parents as responsible parties for forgery, breach of fiduciary duty, since my father was listed as executor of the estate, fraudulent conveyance, and unauthorized use of private identifying information. All of it wrapped into a clean, brutal complaint. While she filed that in civil court, I was building the criminal side. The identity theft case had traction now. The banks were cooperative, especially after I handed them PDFs showing the forged signature on the credit applications. I even found the email address my dad used, my old high school account, recovered through a password reset. He'd set it to forward everything to himself. One of the investigators handling my report asked, "Why would your family think they could get away with this?" I didn't even have to think, because I've always let them. I was the busy one, always flying, always working, never pushing back. They figured I was too distracted to notice a missing deed or a few $1,000s bleeding out of my account. They weren't just stealing. They were betting I wouldn't care enough to stop them. They bet wrong. I reached out to the couple who had unknowingly bought the lake house. Ben and Amanda, early 30s, newly married, about to have their first kid. They were devastated. Amanda cried on the phone. "We used our entire savings." He said it was clean. "We had no idea." I felt for them. They weren't the enemy. They were victims too. I forwarded them a copy of my grandmother's will, the deed restriction, and my lawyer's contact info. Told them I wasn't going to fight them, but I was going to fight the sale. And if they wanted a way out of the mess, they'd want to back me. They did hard. Their lawyer contacted mine. We looped everything into a shared claim. I was suing to unwind the sale, and they were filing against my parents for misrepresentation and damages. The pressure started to crack through. Amelia went quiet on social media. Her studio page disappeared overnight. No more tulip sketches. No more dramatic captions about the pain of creation. Just gone. My mom tried calling. Left me 3 voicemails in a row. "Isaac, this is all going too far. You're going to ruin your father's health. We didn't mean to hurt you. We were trying to keep the family afloat. You wouldn't even notice the lake house was gone if we hadn't told you." That last one made me laugh. Because they didn't tell me. I found out by accident. That's what made this different. It wasn't just a desperate move. They never planned to come clean. If I hadn't shown up, they would have ridden this out forever, pretending they'd never touched my inheritance. They were hoping I'd be too far, too busy, too burned out to chase them. Meanwhile, Erica prepped the court hearing. "We have enough to push this aggressively," she said. "I recommend we pursue full financial restitution, punitive damages, and petition the state bar to file criminal charges." "Do it. And the identity theft? Are you pressing charges personally?" I paused. Thought about it. I'd grown up thinking that family was off limits, that no matter what happened, you didn't turn your back on blood. But they turned on me first. "Yeah," I said. "I want them to have to explain this to a judge, under oath." I took a trip to my bank that week and opened a separate account just for legal settlements. When the banker asked what it was for, I said, "Just preparing for something long overdue." At night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of stress, but because my mind was racing. I was mentally replaying every memory, every ignored insult, every fake smile from my sister when she handed me one of her prints as a birthday gift while cashing checks from my parents behind the scenes. I remembered the Christmas I bought them all round-trip tickets to New York, took them to see a Broadway show, paid for the hotel, dinners, the works. And they spent the entire trip making fun of my job, joking that I was a glorified PowerPoint guy. But Amelia, she posted a photo from Central Park with the caption, "Inspired by the city's energy, already sketching tonight." And they fawned over it like she wrote the damn Declaration of Independence. So yeah, let the courts sort it out. Let them explain to a judge how they sold a house they didn't own. Let them squirm in front of a jury when the loan applications with my forged signature are read out loud. Let Amelia cry when her Instagram art empire collapses under the weight of fraud and unpaid studio bills. Because this isn't just about the money. It's about respect, about boundaries, about finally stopping the cycle of letting narcissists rewrite the truth. And this time, they don't get to control the ending. So the court date has finally come. Court doesn't look like the movies. It's not loud. There's no objection, flying every 10 seconds. It's quiet, cold, boring even. until it's your family sitting on the other side of the room, trying to explain how they committed identity theft and sold a house they didn't legally own. My parents showed up in matching outfits like they were heading to Easter brunch. My mom wore her pearls. My dad had on the same blue blazer he used to wear when he lectured me about responsibility. Amelia didn't come. She claimed emotional distress. According to her affidavit, she was traumatized by the legal aggression from her brother. Right. I walked in with my attorney, Erica, who looked like she could end someone's career with a glance. No small talk, no handshakes. We took our seats. First came the civil suit over the house. We opened with my grandmother's will, clear as day. My dad was the executor of her estate, which meant he had a legal obligation to honor her conditions, especially the part about the 5-year restriction. Ignoring that wasn't just a bad call, it was a breach of fiduciary duty. The lake house was left to me, under the condition that it not be sold for at least 5 years and only with my signature and written consent. The house had been sold after 3 years. No signature from me, just a scanned, forged one attached to a rush deed of sale processed through a local title company, who, by the way, had also been named in a separate complaint for failing to verify ownership. They never had power of attorney, no legal right, no estate petition, just entitlement and a shaky Sharpie signature. Their due diligence was non-existent. They didn't flag the restriction in the will, didn't check the verified owner, and when my forged signature hit their desk, they waved it through like a lunch receipt. My dad took the stand. He claimed it was all a mistake, that I verbally agreed to let the house go, that I said I didn't care what happened to it. He said it was too much to manage, and we thought he wouldn't mind. Erica pulled out a printed text log showing I'd never been notified. Then she slid the forged signature into evidence next to a verified sample from my apartment lease. They didn't match. The judge raised an eyebrow. So your explanation is, you assumed your son would be fine with selling his inherited property without informing him, and coincidentally filed a deed with a signature that doesn't match? My dad looked like he was about to shrink into his chair. Then came the credit cards. The bank reps confirmed it. The applications had been filed from my parents' home IP address. The email used for verification was tied to my old high school account, which my dad admitted, under oath, he still had access to. When asked why he applied for credit cards under my name, he said something that stopped the room. He travels all the time. He's barely home. What's the harm in asking for a little help? What's the harm? He said. Like I was a backup credit card. Like absence cancels ownership. The judge asked him if that help included maxing out cards for his daughter's business expenses. My mom jumped in. Amelia needed that studio space to grow her art. It's not like Isaac was going to use the money. Erica leaned in. Are you stating under oath that your son's personal credit and inheritance were yours to reallocate as you saw fit because he travels for work? My mom blinked. I'm saying we're a family. That's what it always boiled down to with them. We're a family. Translation: you owe us everything, and we owe you nothing. The court didn't buy it. The judge ruled in my favor on all counts. The lake house sale was declared void. My parents were ordered to repay the buyers every dollar, plus moving costs and damages. The forged deed was labeled fraudulent. They were ordered to pay all legal fees and restitution for credit damages, totaling over $90,000. A separate criminal referral was sent to the district attorney's office. The DA's office didn't commit to anything right away, but the investigator handling my case told me the evidence was more than enough for felony charges if they decided to pursue it. My attorney said we'd be notified if an indictment came down. They looked shell-shocked, like this wasn't supposed to happen. Like I was supposed to fold, roll over, and be the bigger person. Again. Outside the courtroom, my dad tried to speak to me. Isaac, we didn't want it to come to this. I stared at him. You sold my house, ran up debt in my name, lied to my face, and acted like I should be grateful. You chose this. He opened his mouth again. You made me the enemy the minute you decided I was just a safety net with a credit score. Then I turned and walked away. I didn't go to the post-trial hearing. Erica handled it. She sent me a copy of the final judgment, neatly filed and stamped. It felt like more than a win. It felt like closure. That night, I took one of Amelia's old prints off my bookshelf, one she gave me years ago. A badly drawn deer with stars in its eyes, and the words, "Vulnerability is power," scrawled across it in uneven handwriting. I lit it on fire in the sink, watched it curl and disappear. They never said, "We're proud of you." Not once. But a court judgment that says you were right the whole time? That's louder than any hug ever was. And I slept better than I had in years. Then, 3 weeks after the ruling, I got a text from an unknown number. Hope you're happy. Mom's having panic attacks now because of what you did. It was Amelia. Still the same manipulative coward. Still hiding behind fake sympathy and backhanded blame, acting like this was some family disagreement instead of what it actually was. I didn't ignore it this time, I called. She picked up, her voice dripping with venom wrapped in fake concern. Wow, didn't think you'd actually respond. I guess destroying your own family finally got boring? I unloaded, no. I called because you still think this is about money. Like all I cared about was a house and a credit score. So let me make this real clear. What you and mom and dad did was about disrespect, repeated, deliberate. She tried to interrupt. I steamrolled right through her. You didn't just steal from me. You tried to erase me. You treated me like a utility. Not a brother, not a son, just the guy you leech off until he stops bleeding. She started with her usual weak defense. We didn't know what else to do. Things were hard and mom… Shut it, I said, flat. You're not some misunderstood starving artist. You're a full-grown parasite in a thrift store halo. You threw a party with stolen money and gave a speech like you built something. You didn't build anything, Amelia. You embezzled a fantasy. Her breath caught. You sat back while they forged my name. You watched them sell my house. You watched them take my identity and torch my credit. And you were too busy filming your little ribbon-cutting ceremony to care. And now you want to cry about it. I could hear rustling. They were all listening. Then my mom's voice. Isaac, we didn't want to hurt you. We were trying to survive. You don't understand the pressure we were under. I barked a laugh. You think I don't know pressure? I've been supporting myself since I was 21, while you sat at home crying over Amelia's sad little flower doodles like they were prophetic. You ignored my promotions, my achievements, my life, unless it came with a deposit. My dad chimed in, his voice cracked. You're tearing this family apart. Is that what you want? No, I snapped. I wanted a family. I got leeches with matching excuses. You didn't just break my trust, you buried it, pissed on the grave, and tried to invoice me for the funeral. Amelia whispered, you're being cruel. Number this is reality, and you don't get to watercolor over it with fake grief. Then I hit them with the final cut. You never said you were proud of me. Not once. You paraded Amelia's flea market trash like it was high art. But when I flew to Germany to speak at a global conference, you didn't even send a text. You don't get to guilt me now. You lost that right the second you decided I was easier to steal from than support. So I ended it. You want to cry now? Good. Because this isn't a story where I come back for Christmas and we all hug it out. This ends with me walking away and you learning what consequences feel like without a safety net to steal from. My mom begged, Isaac, please, stop. We're sorry. Don't do this. Too late. You already did. Click. I blocked the number. By that point, the damage had already been done. To them, not me. The buyers of the lake house got their money back. I made sure of it. My lawyer helped them sue my parents for breach of sale, misrepresentation, and emotional distress. That sweet couple now owns the lake house free and clear, paid for entirely by the people who tried to steal it. The title was voided and retransferred under court order. My parents had to liquidate their 401ks to avoid wage garnishment. Meanwhile, Amelia's studio was evicted. Her social media brand evaporated. She posted a final story. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who want to see you fail the most, right? That's why she used my credit score to pay for pastel markers and a 6-foot print of her own face. Her car was repossessed 2 months later. Turns out the lease had also been co-signed using one of the credit cards tied to my identity. The banks came knocking. She tried to post a GoFundMe, claimed she was recovering from financial abuse by a toxic male relative. Nick found it and sent me the link. It raised $84 before being reported and shut down. My parents, they sold the house I grew up in to cover the restitution. I found out they moved in with my aunt, the same one they used to mock for not managing her money. She didn't want to take them in, but she was guilted into it. Then, I went on with my life. I actually started living it again. With the restitution money, I didn't buy a car or a house or some flashy trophy to say I won. I opened a trust account. It funds legal workshops for young adults dealing with financial abuse from family. First event sold out in a week. I started traveling less, switched roles in my company, negotiated a new contract where I get to be home more. I built a new desk. I started painting, not like Amelia, but with wood and stain, not brushstrokes. Functional art. And real peace finally showed up. For the first time in a long time, my decisions weren't made through the lens of what will they think, or how can I keep the peace. Because peace isn't giving in. Peace is a locked door, and no missed calls from people who only remember your number when they need something. Sometimes family stops being family the moment they see your success as communal property and your boundaries as betrayal.